All right, and we're live. So, Mr. Aaron, uh, first off, how about you just tell us your name, what you do, give us a little introduction of yourself.
Hey, my name is Aaron Lacy. I'm 22 years old. I am a student right now, college student at SF State University. I am in Bachelor of Studio Art. Um, my fourth year, so I also do art as well. I'm a visual illustrator. Follow me on Instagram at AW underscore Lacy. Post a lot of art on there. A lot of comic book style art and a lot of superhero superhero characters.
Okay. All right. Can you move that mic closer to your mouth? Cause yeah, just swing it on over.
Is this good?
Yeah, but you kind of gotta move it to where it's not blocking your face. So
How's this?
it's better. Yeah, you can bring it in closer to you though.
Is good?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
All right. So number one, tell us about your childhood.
Let's see where to start. So I was born in Los Angeles and on March 26, 2000. Was born in the Torrance City. I had two older brothers, and I'm the youngest one. Uh, my mom was a nurse, still is a nurse, and my dad, I believe at the time, was a truck driver, and then started to work at Chevron. Um, I lived in LA till I was about the age of, uh, say, eight 8 years old. Moved to Oakland for years back in 2009. Um, so yeah, I lived in Oakland for about a year. Moved out with my mom, and then after that year, and going to 2010, I moved to a small town called Antioch. It's in East Bay. So that's where I spent the majority of my youth, going up to age 22. Uh, Most of my childhood, I didn't really play much sports. Actually, no, I lie. I did little league for some time. Didn't really enjoy it that much, but it was something to do, test the waters. I like. And um, then I came across art at the age of 10. Remember, I was with my older brother Kevin. He, I was with him. We were in this arts and crafts store at Michael's, and I'm not sure exactly what we were doing there, but I think he had to get something, and we were in one of the aisles. It was aisle that had a bunch of tutorial books on how to draw, like how to draw superheroes, comic book characters, and I don't know, I was intrigued by it. I grabbed one of the books, started flipping through the pages, saw what I liked. I just like how it looked. Characters looked very appealing, like the art, and Kevin saw how into I was, how much I was zoning on just the pages, looking, scrolling, looking through this, flipping through the pages. He's like, "Did you want the book?" And I was like, "Yeah, uh, yeah, I want to get the book." So got me, bought the book for me. I think we also got. some sketch paper too, some tracing paper, and that's like the history on how I started drawing. Um, and I still do it now to this day. Um, aside from that, I would say he is my inspiration on when it comes to art. Because if it wasn't for him buying that book for me, I probably wouldn't have become the artist I am today. Um, but going past that, um, not really much to say about my childhood. But I was the only kid in the house because I only lived with my mom. Uh, my brothers still lived in LA at the time, so I mostly grew up as an only child, even though I still had siblings. But I would still see them. They would come visit during holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Sometimes I would go out there during the summer to go visit them. Uh, so that was something a tradition like every year go visit the family. Going into high school, uh, I did track. I did track and field for 4 years. I was a sprinter. I did the the 400 mostly. My was my main event. 200, 4x4 relays, 4x1 sometimes, sometimes 200 as well. Uh, those days are pretty fun.
Okay. All right. So that's a pretty good intro to your life and kind of what you was into. Um, the next question, I mean, and you kind of touched on this already. You already talked about how you got into your art, which is cool because I didn't know. I kind of forgot about that, man. That's pretty cool. Um, so instead of just saying, okay, well, tell us about your art form and how you got into it, how about you just tell us about how you got into taking it a little more serious? I know you said you gave us how you started. How about you give us just the moment when it kind of became something that you wanted to take serious?
Well, can't exactly say when I wanted to take it serious. I mostly did it for fun at the time. From I was in third grade to got to high school. At high school, I stopped drawing for a while. I kind of lost my inspiration for it. I would say I got bored of it, maybe, because I didn't really thought it was cool anymore. So I stopped for a very long time. So almost 4 years until I started going to college after graduating high school, 2019, going my freshman year of college at SF State University. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my uh, life since I'm going to be growing into an adult. I thought, okay, I did. I don't know what it was, but I think I was playing video games, and sometimes I would play game, these games that had that nice wallpaper art. Um, like every time I would load up a video game, they'll have like a loading screen that had just art of different characters on display on the screen. For example, Dragon Ball Z, that pretty nice character concept art illustrations that I really admire, even though Like, that's not what the point of the game, you're just playing a game, like, no one really would care about the art sometimes, but I personally do. I really find that to be inspiring. You know, I could literally sit there and just stare at it for a while, and I don't know, I was like one day, "Hmm, I should really get back into drawing." So, after that, literally, I just started s drawing on a sketchbook again, and after doing some drawings every day after that, I thought, "Okay, you know, I could I could do this for, like, money," because people always ask me to draw stuff for them and say, like, how good I was, but I didn't really think much of it. Like, I wasn't a conceited person that think, "Oh, I'm so good at drawing." Like, no, I didn't really think of it much as that. I thought I was just someone that can draw, mostly. I didn't really think I was anything special because 'cause I'm like, "Anybody can draw." Like, I didn't think, like, what I did was so unique, but I would appreciate the people that complimented me on my skill. So, I kept on doing it, and at that point, I just said, "Okay, I can let's let's see if we become, like, pro at this," you know? Like, I just became more serious in it. At that time, I would just search up YouTube videos on how to color, how to, um, draw characters properly, proper proportions, you know, composition, shading. Um, it was it was hard at first. I was like, "This is not something I'm used to," because I would just did it for fun. I never did it to just as a way of studying, like, all the time, like, oh, like I'm doing homework again, like, just constantly watching videos for hours on how to do a simple drawing or how draw things how I wanted to look compared to how other people did it on Instagram. I was like how good they do it. I was like, "Wow, I really want myself to look like that." So, I would watch people that have skill like that just so I can get as good as them, and that was my inspiration to keep going because I was like, "Wow, like, if I can get this good in, like, a short amount of time," because when I watched YouTube videos on how to get better, I noticed, like, how fast my progression was, and I was like, "Wow, okay," like, it felt slow at first, but then, like, after a few months, so, like, I started noticing, like, the progression. I was like, "Wow, okay," so and people started taking note of that. Wow, like, you're I would see, like, from where I was until, like, a year later, and it seemed like how fast I'm growing, you know? And I was like, "Okay, so I am improving, like, I am getting better." So I just kept on doing it, going harder. I was like, "Okay, let's push ourselves, let's challenge and try to do more." And at first, I started just doing simple sketches, no pens like, no colors at all at the time, and he was like, "Oh, you should start coloring your work. You should start, you know, putting color and it'll make it look better." So I got some color pencils, then started coloring at the time, started drawing out, you know, what I usually do, just draw out work and just for fun. Like I wasn't getting paid for it. I was just doing it. And literally one of my brothers, Will, my second oldest brother, um, sometimes post my work. He would post on a story on Instagram and show it off, and other people took notice of it and they're saying, "Hey, like, what's your brother's Instagram so I can ask him to draw and I'll pay him to do, such and such for me." And then they got in touch with Will, and then he gave him my Instagram, and then I started getting in touch with different people that requested work for me, and I was like, "Wow, like, I'm getting paid to do art." So that was also another motivation to keep going too, and that also made me start to get better each time. Because the goal for me was to always do better than the last. So that's something I always kept telling myself, just do better than the last. See what you can do next. see what's new, try something else, something a little bit harder, but not too much, just a little bit, so I won't overwhelm myself. So, kept doing it, and I think there's this one request I got, and it was from my brother, friend of his from Will, and they wanted a painting, and keep in mind at the time, I only did color pencils. I never did a painting before in my life, and I was like, "Oh, uh, painting?" And they asked like, "Yeah, like, can you is it possible you can do this painting for me?" It was a painting of a Spider-Man piece, and I was like, I wasn't sure. I didn't wanna say no because I was like, "Okay, maybe I can this could be an opportunity, try something new." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can do that. I can paint, a Spider-Man piece for you." And it's funny because this friend of his from my brother just moved out to where I lived in Antioch, and it was convenient because he lived, like, literally 5 minutes away from me. So we got in touch, and then we met up, and then he was talking about how he wanted his painting to look, and so once we figured out what he wanted, we went to Michael's and got some got some paint. Literally got a canvas, brushes, and he helped me like, he paid for all of it. So, he's a pretty cool guy for that. He paid for the paint, canvas, the brushes to help me get started, my first painting, and it took me some time. I said, "Hey," it's like, it's a cool, like, because if I jump into it now, it's not gonna look that good. It's gonna look very, very choppy. So, I asked him, I said, "Hey, like, is it possible you can give me, like, some time to practice painting? So, like, when you get the first when I do the first painting for you, it'll look it'll look decent. It'll look good." So, he said, "Yeah, no problem. Just take your time, like, no rush." So, I was like, "Okay, cool." So, I like I said, just started watching videos on how to paint, some it was, acrylic paint, by the way. So I watched videos on how to do acrylic paint. Took, I would say, it about almost 3 months to learn how to paint, and by the time I started to understand how to paint, how to, um, how play on the canvas, and I and by the time I started being able to understand how to do paint, um, I was doing pretty good. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I started on the Friends piece. I started working on the Spider-Man drawing, painting, and it came out pretty good. If you wanna see, it's on my Instagram at AW_Lacy. Um, it's, one of the Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and then one of Miles Morales. It's like both half and half, and you can see that that's my first ever painting I ever did, and it actually came out pretty nice. I was, like, pretty proud of how it turned out, and
Nice, nice. Okay, so you got your first painting in, and did that lead you to doing more? Like what kind of came after that?
oh, okay, so after that, I did more paintings. I felt I got more comfortable with it. I wasn't as nervous to do painting because before I was really scared to just put the paint on the canvas. I was just afraid to mess up because color pencils was way different from painting. Because of paint, it's a little different. But uh, paint gave me like a different perspective on like colors. How to mix them, how to get the color you want, and it was I thought was pretty fun because at first I didn't think it was that fun. I was like, paint doesn't seem that cool. But after trying it, it's not that bad. So after my first painting, I started doing it more and more, and I was I was having a lot of fun with it. It was more time consuming, but it was it was satisfying because after the painting was done, you see like you'd be like, wow, like as an artist, like for me, I was like, wow, like this looks pretty good. I did about s 7 or 8 paintings. So I did painting for a year, and I think after a while, I think I got tired of it. Uh, it was not saying it wasn't fun, but I wanted to try something new. I was like, "Okay, painting's cool, but it's" and too, it was pretty expensive to buy paint and constantly buy new canvas all the time. So I was like, "Man, I gotta find something a little less, a little cheaper," because this was still during the time of COVID, so school was still online, and I have to worry about being in the dorms or having to make a mess or anywhere. So um, school was like COVID restrictions were going down, and I was they were letting students go back in for SF State University. They were allowing us to go back into in person classes. So I was like, okay, pain is gonna be a little difficult if I decide to keep doing it. It's gonna be a lot of labor. So I decided to go digital, and it was something I was always it was always brought up to me by people that see my work. They'd be like, "Hey, like, why don't you ever try doing digital drawings? Like, you should try doing that." I was like, yeah, what? Yeah, sure. Like, maybe one day I'll do that." I didn't really pay any mind to it. I was like, "Yeah, well, I guess like one day I'll do it." Never really thought about doing it. I didn't really want to do it because I was like, "Oh, I don't really know how to do it because I'm not that experienced on with computers and stuff." So I didn't really want to go too far off that. But I was just a little scared because I didn't really know how that worked. I was more hands on. But um, so I say at 2022 or 2021, I it was around December, and I bought a Wacom tablet that I can draw on, like a little drawing tablet I bought, and I was figuring out how to set it up. My older brother Kevin was teaching me how to set up the Wacom tablet just so I can get started. And so I got it set up and bought a program like Flip Studio Paint is what I use for my digital illustrations. And I was a little like confused at first. I was like, oh, how do you? Because I knew how to draw, but I didn't know how to use the program. Like, I didn't know how to do it digitally. Like, because I wasn't real tech savvy. I didn't know how to do that. So had to do research, of course, had to go um, look up videos on how to draw. I mean, not how to draw. I had to use the program, how to operate it, and once I learned that, drawing like it wasn't hard at all. Like it was just drawing, like just it was literally the same thing.
It was like just regular again.
Yeah, just regular again.
Okay, so we got a couple more questions here. And now you would say that the digital drawing is your main thing now, and is that what you like most?
Now, yes, that's what I like most now
Why do you like digital drawing most?
because there's a lot more things to work with. You have a lot of tools, and you can and it's very quick too. And compared to if you were to draw on paper or color on paper, it's less time
Okay.
because you can literally use like a paint bucket tool, for example. If you want to color character red, instead of having to just scribble it red, just hit tap the screen and boom, it's done. And that's another reason why I wanted to go digital because it was like pretty cheap and it was less time.
Okay. Um, So for our last couple of questions, this is just a little more reflective. What advice would you tell your younger self?
My so I would tell him to be open to try new things. Um, don't be scared to say what's on your mind. Don't be scared of what other people think. You know, because at the end of the day, it's on you if you don't do it. Because no one's gonna care because everybody else got their own things to worry about. So what's the point of thinking about what everyone has to say about you? You know,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's spoken like a wise man. Um, and one of our last questions will be if it was your last day living, what would you want to tell your family and friends?
mm, my last day on Earth, and what I would tell my family.
Yeah, yeah. If you knew it was your last day, what would you want to, say, do?
I would say I wouldn't change. I wouldn't replace y'all for the world. You are the people that start my life with, and you know, you guys helped me build who I am, my foundation. I be I'm being grateful to you guys. You guys made me who I am today. So I am grateful.
That's right. You're welcome. uh, any last words? Any last thoughts? Any last things you want to talk about that maybe you didn't get to express?
Well, actually, yes, there is. um, this so it's one thing I want to mention is back in 2019 when I was getting ready to move into college, I was very lazy, very, very lazy. I had no ambition, no drive. I was just a zombie, just walking through life. I know what's going on, not a care in the world about anything. And I would say all these things I want to do, like, oh, I'm gonna do this with my, I'm gonna go do this with my art. I'm gonna go, no, I go make these paintings. I'm gonna go sell some stuff. I'm gonna go, whatever. Just say things, but never really follow up on it. And my older brother Kevin, there, called me. We had a talk, and I just opened my eyes. He, just straight up just called me on my BS. Like, dude, like, stop BSing. You're not doing anything with your life. You're just sitting there playing video games all day. Nothing to show for it. Which he was right, of course. I had nothing to show for it. Just sat there and listened. You know, call me out. I know. I was like, dang, like he's right. I'm not doing anything in my life. I'm just, being lazy, unproductive. Uh, and I was like, dang. So after that, that really hit home to me because that's when I got my first job too at the time. Because if he didn't, give me that pep talk, I would have been like, you know, same old me probably. I probably would have took me longer to just mature and develop. So shout out to Big Bro Kevin for getting me out of that mindset and actually start grinding.
That's right. You're welcome, man. I'm proud of you. It's great to see your growth, man. and give the people your where they can find you, social medias.
Right, right. So you can find me on AW_Lacy. See where I post art, and yeah.
All right, that's everything. That's you got TikTok. What's up?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
TikTok, same thing.
same thing.
AW, yeah. Forgot my bad. TikTok, AW_Lacy. Post videos on there too, little short videos of my work, and yeah, those are my two main social media platforms I post on.
All right, so AW_Lacy, LACY.
Yeah, all low caps, no uppercase.
All right, man. Well, it's a pleasure talking to you, man.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Keep being your best, man.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we're done.